Excellent. Hi, everyone. This is Hal Krosman. And tonight for our Toastmaster Club, the Santa Clarita Toastmasters, we have invited Jim Kearney to do a mentoring session on table topics. Now, I think I was in one of Jim's mentoring sessions about 2-3 years ago on this. I may be wrong, but I swear that we did something on it, and it really helped. So I am looking forward to tonight. I'm looking forward to what Jim has to say. And also I'm looking forward to all of us participating and having fun during table topics. So as a group, help me welcome Jim Kearney.
Whoop, whoop. I want everyone to unmute yourself. Number one, unmute yourself. Lalitha, unmute, please. I'm not, when I share my screen, I'm not going to be able to see you. So I want this to be as interactive as possible. And I would like to have everyone have a piece of paper and some sort of writing instrument so you can take notes. And Hal, if you could remind me at the end of the meeting when we go to questions and answers to drop a copy of my slides into the chat room. So if anyone wants a copy, they can download them.
Okay.
So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to share my screen. And let's see, we need to put this into presentation mode. Okay, you guys see a single screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Mastering table topics.
Awesome. Good evening, everyone. Tonight, I am going to go over mastering table topics. I plan on giving a little introduction of myself and things of that nature. I'm going to go over some tips and tricks for answering table topics. Then we're going to get into structures and practice. And when we get into that section, I want you guys to just say that you volunteer. I'm not going to be able to see everybody's hands. So just shout out your answers. And finally, we'll end up with a Q&A session. Well, first things first, I want everyone to be able to know that you are not in this alone. Toastmasters is worldwide, and everyone in Toastmasters is there to make sure that everyone else in Toastmasters succeeds. This is my email address and my phone number. If you happen to have questions on Toastmasters or anything that I'm going over tonight, please feel free to contact me. I prefer that you call rather than send an email because it gets a faster response. If for whatever reason I'm not answering the phone, please leave a message. I will call you back. Tips. Number one tip for Toastmasters and table topics and anything else that you're going to do when you get out there and you're going to get ready to speak, especially for the first time you're speaking, or anyone who sits there and has cognitive thought processes and they start freezing up and things are going on. Oh no, I can't think. What am I going to do? Don't panic. Relax. If you're nervous, use pauses, take your deep breath. I guarantee you, every single person who answers table topics previously is in the exact same position you are in if you're answering table topics for the very first time. I promise the world is not going to end while you are here. Breathe. If you have that flight or fight symptoms going on in your head and your frontal lobes aren't allowing you to think and the responses are not coming through and your thought processes are not generating, breathe. You don't need to worry about the audience's reaction. They all want you to perform as well as you can possibly perform. So for anyone who thinks they're nervous about anything that's going to go on tonight, I have a quick exercise for every single one of you. I want you to take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. Ready? Begin. Deep and let it out. One more time. Deep in and let it out. And at this point, your body should feel somewhat relaxed and your thought processes should all of a sudden be free to think and be able to do things. And don't panic when you get ready to answer. Just breathe. Tip number 2, go with your instincts. The first idea that pops into your head, that's what you answer on. Now, I know that in school, we used to tell everyone that that's what you're supposed to be doing. How many of you did that when you were in school taking your exams? Ever take that test and you didn't know the answer, but you're going to guess and you turned around and you checked off the one that you thought was right? And then you changed your mind and said, no, no, that's not it. And you went back and you changed that answer. And yet, when the teacher turned around and gave you that test back, you found out your first answer was right. You changed it to the wrong one. The same thing applies here. The same principle applies here. Your gut has these certain types of feelings, and you should be going with the first thing that comes to mind when you're answering table topics. Sooner or later, a little idea will pop into your head, and whoop, there it is. Even if it's just a little idea, start talking about that idea that popped into your head. Don't reject it and hope that a bigger idea will come. I promise you it won't. Go with what you know. That little idea has to be expressed first. If you reject it, you'll sulk and you'll block your own thought processes and nothing will come through. If you go with that idea and you start talking about it, as you talk, other ideas will come into your head and you will do just fine. Go with your instincts. They're almost always correct. Tip number 3, express an opinion right from the start. Answer the question or express an opinion from the start because it's the way to set them things in motion for the rest of your talk. Try not to give a long introduction because a boring answer with no coherent meaning becomes useless. If you express your opinion, justify it with a strong supporting statement. Offer a reason why you agree or disagree with the table topic question, whatever is easier. Just make sure that you're doing something in a logical fashion where you express your opinion, you give your reason, you justify it, and then you run off with the rest of the answer. For instance, you can turn around and say, what was your favorite holiday? But then you can turn around and make it into an open question. If you don't have a favorite holiday, you can talk about the histories of holiday or anything like that. You don't have to answer the question the way it's presented. If you have that first idea that pops into your head and you start talking on it, give your opinion based on that, you'll be fine. So long as you can seize your little idea and turn it into something concrete, you will be just fine with your answer, no matter what you say. Tip number 4, repeating the table topics question in a different manner. If the question comes out, what is your favorite holiday? Don't repeat the question. Oh, what is your favorite holiday? Thank you for that question. That's blah, blah, blah. No. Repeat it in a different fashion. Say, my favorite holiday is, and there's a reason for this. Because if you start with something like this, you're expressing an opinion and you will be able to fulfill that thought process because it's coming from inside you. It helps to ensure that you understand the question that was given correctly. It gives you a little more time to formulate the response that you wish. And as you walk towards the lectern, you have all these thoughts coming out ready to go. It's a piece of cake. It's not something you have to worry about. Don't freeze. Don't panic. Next tip, draw on your own experiences. And at any time, whenever you're in doubt of anything, tell a story. Always tell a story. It's something that we as humans have done for eons and eons. We don't get out there and do practice speeches and prepare speeches. Oh, let me tell you 3 things that I did in order to. No, it doesn't come out that way. Tell a story. Everybody relates to a story. We all have stories. When you're given a table topic, you can ask yourself if there is anything in your own experiences that will answer the question or illustrate your opinion or argument against it. As well as making it easier for you to answer a question, a personal reply will often sound more heartfelt than other answers you might have to give if you're trying to think of something without dealing with something that you've already had. And believe me, if you answer from something within your heart, your audience can relate to you. They will understand because they've had similar experiences that you did. So when you tell that story and you draw on that experience, they are doing the same exact thing that you're doing inside their head while they listen to you. This is the most fun thing that you can do. I like this tip. I want everyone to be as eccentric as possible and avoid conventional answers, because the more eccentric you are, the more fun it is, and the more apt you are going to be with your audience to have more laughter and more fun going through it. The best table topic responses are often those where the speaker avoids a serious or conventional answer. Instead, they try something unusual or entertaining. For example, you can deliver a speech in character, or you can deliver an unexpected contrarian argument to the point that was being asked inside the question. By doing this, you can grab all the audience's attention. You can free yourself from any constraints of a conventional approach and be as creative as you can. Your only limit is what you limit yourself to be. And I promise you, the more eccentric you are, the more fun you'll have, and the more the audience will enjoy your answer. You can always spin the question and make it yours. For instance, what is the story of a fork? Well, if you don't know the story of a fork, but you know chopsticks, you can always say, well, I know the story or history of chopsticks. And of course, you then turn the subject around, you make it something different but similar, and you make it your own based on something that you know. If you don't know the answer for the question that's asked, simply switch it up. You can make the question yours by responding to a similar question that you do have some knowledge of. Table Topics is designed to get you to think on your feet. Feel free to respond in the way that makes sense to you. Back to that idea again, right? That simple first idea that popped in your head. Next tip. Don't forget to utilize your pathway projects. Inside Pathways, we teach you how to organize your speech, how to get to a point, how to say something, your different body language that you have going on, and of course, your vocal variety. Use all of these techniques, everything that you learn on techniques in Pathways, use them while you're giving your table topics answer. A lot of people are going to sit there and say, oh my God, how am I supposed to remember all these things? The whole point about going through this education process with Toastmasters is they're teaching you all these different things so that you use them on a constant basis, not just inside Toastmasters, but everywhere. And the more you use them, the easier they come to you and the more entertaining and the more people in your audiences will listen to you. During your Pathways project, you learn these various speech techniques. You should apply these techniques every time that you get a chance to talk, not just in table topics, not just in speeches, but even if you're fulfilling functionary roles, if you're doing it with regular people outside of Toastmasters, you have coworkers you talk to, you go to lunch, you should be using these techniques all the time. The more you use them, the more they're reinforced, the more you will become a better speaker. Remember, there are 6 honest serving men. Rudyard Kipling. What happened? Who is involved? Where did it take place? When did it take place? Why did it happen? How did it happen? Rudyard Kipling's six serving men to keep everybody honest. Who, what, where, when, how, why. In English classes, we call these the W family. By actively looking for answers to these questions, we can give ourselves both material and a framework to put together a well-structured 1 to 2 minute speech to answer a table topic. These 6 questions. So feel free to write them down. Feel free to make use of them. And I will drop a copy of these slides. So maybe you don't have to write these down. I'll drop a copy of these slides in the chat room when we finish. Don't forget to watch your timing signals. Hello. We have a timer. You want to make sure that you're on time. You have to keep practicing no matter what happens. The more you do it, the less nervous you're going to become, the easier you'll find it, and the more you'll enjoy it. Have fun. Keep doing table topics. And if you have any other tips you want to share, now would be a fun time to say them. I'm listening. So is the rest of your audience. Oh my God, no one has anything. Come on. Someone has something.
I have a few thoughts.
Sure, come on. Let's share them.
One of them is just to have this whole list of tips out in front of us, and we just pick one and go with it. Right. So I mean, you've got different, if I remember correctly, we'll also have different formats that we could use and that kind of thing. Just pick something and do it.
Yes.
You know, because at least back on, what was it? The first couple ones, express an opinion might be different than ask the question again and talk about forks or, you know, chopsticks instead of forks, right? Yep. Just a thought.
Anybody else?
I always love to do incongruity if I can. If they say something, you know, a nice girl picks flowers, then I try to go to something that for someone like that wouldn't do, because that's the way I am.
Oh, you go pick strawberries instead?
No, something worse.
You're supposed to say yes, especially next Friday, because next Friday is strawberry picking day.
Yeah, blueberries maybe. I don't like strawberries, but yeah, but something darker. If it's bright and light and funny, I'd like to go dark and vice versa. I just think it's fun to do it opposite. I don't know. That's me.
Sure. Okay. I'm going to move on now, and we're going to have a little bit of fun. So I'm going to go over the structures now. So a common structure, you want to have some sort of thesis, which would be your opening statement. Then you have 1 or 2 points, and then you would have a conclusion. And when you do this, the thought process follows these type of patterns, right? So when you have your thesis, you want 15 to 30 seconds, maybe 3 or 4 sentences maximum. Then you have point number 1, 45 seconds, maximum 9, 10 sentences. Point number 2, 45 seconds, maximum 9-10 sentences. Your conclusion, 10 to 20 seconds, 1 or 2 sentences. This is the common structure that's being used. But there are other ways of doing things, even though you follow this type of structure. If you keep these timing rules in place. And so we're going to go over the other structures really, really quickly. And we're going to have some practice with them. I'm going to come up with a slide. I'm going to explain some structures. We're going to ask some questions. I have a box full of questions here. So we're going to go through and someone is going to answer. So let me go to the first one here. There are different ways of doing things. So you can answer based on chronology, where you're trying to give some sort of historical facts, past, present, and future. You can do sequentially, what happens with this, and because of that, B happens, and because of B, C happens, and because of C, D happens. Or you can do some sort of cause and effect. Someone was exposed to asbestos and they got cancer or something like that, right? So you have cause and effect. So this is the first set of structures that we're going to go over. I'm going to leave this slide up here so that all of you can see it. I want you to pick one. Pick one. And the question is, I can't see with these glasses. Hold on. I have to put on reading glasses instead of computer glasses. The question is, what is one event in the future whose outcome you would really like to know now? One event in the future whose outcome you would really like to know now. So someone volunteer and pick one of these techniques.
Chronology.
Go ahead, Hal.
You
I'm
muted
muted.
him.
Thank you, fellow Toastmasters and guests. The one thing that I think made a significant difference in my early financial life was that I bought a house at the right time when I was 20 years old. Every person in my life told me I overpaid for it. 3 years later, I sold it for twice the price. And it was a point at which things were going up, things were going to happen. It was exciting to watch real estate go up. What I didn't know at that time was I thought, well, we're at the top of the market. And sadly enough, I stopped buying houses and then watched that same house go from I bought it for 20, I sold it for 40. And probably 5-6 years later, it was at 150. And today it's at about $1 million. So, wow. I look back and I think I should have maybe held on to that and continued to buy houses. That's the thing that looking into the future, I wish I could see. Where are these prices going? What is it worth investing in? Where's the stock market going? Because wouldn't it be nice to be able to pick the bottom and sell at the top? And that, Jim, if you can solve that for me, you will be my hero forever. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Well, that's something we'll have to talk about on the side, but I could probably solve that for you.
Excellent.
Okay, so let's pick another set of slides with different structures. Here we have problem and solution. You have a certain event that's taking place and it's causing an issue. Maybe it's something simple like taxes or something like that. Or maybe it's a new law that the government is coming out with. And it causes some kind of a problem. And then you have to turn around, you have to come up with some sort of a solution. Or you could perhaps answer based on geography. And you can do a compare or contrast between, say, Asian and the US, or the East and the West, or something like that. You can also go with categories: sales, deliveries, finance, banking, any specific type of category you wanted to. So I'm going to ask a question and I would like someone to answer using one of these techniques. And the question is, what is something you really enjoy doing that is a chore or, man, class swapping today. What is something you really enjoy doing that is a chore or a bore for many other people? Something you enjoy doing that is a chore or bore for many other people. Vivian.
Yes, you know what I'm gonna say. Just like Jim, I absolutely love cooking. Yes, and that's why I decided to make Jim my friend. Most people say, oh my gosh, I don't have anything to eat. Yeah, the fridge is loaded, but I don't want to cook. I'm too tired. So they figure out what they're going to order, which is really something they don't want. Jim and I say, oh my gosh, we're so tired. Let me go cook something so I can relax. You see, it's all about perspectives. And perception is reality. For most people, cooking is a chore. For some characters on this planet, like Jim and me, it's what we wish we could do instead of the things we have to do. So when you have a problem about having to cook, have something ready so that when you're hungry, it's there, whether you have to cook it or you have to order and it takes forever. The main problem I'm discussing here is what to do when you're hungry. If you don't like cooking, have some food, preferably not junk, that you can easily eat. I know, like carrot sticks, I'm into healthy stuff. But if you're like Jim and me, go, go, go. It's not a problem. So let me ask you guys, perception's reality. Why is it a problem? You start with the why. Why is it a problem? Once you figure out, you'll realize it's all about perspectives. You might realize really that it can be fun. If you have things like how to make a chicken sandwich, you have it ready there. So you have a bottle or something that's ready with the mix. All you have to do is toast some bread, throw it in, put some lettuce, tomato, carrots, whatever, cucumber, and you realize, oh, that wasn't difficult. And if you need more tips, call Jim or me. We'll tell you how to cook up something really fast. You'll realize, no problem and many solutions. I love you from Manila. Bye.
Thanks, Vivian. Awesome. She picked on me because I sent her a picture of the food that I cooked for lunch today, and I happened to cook Filipino food, so I sent it to her.
I didn't get it, Jim.
So the next set of pieces that we're going to do is compare and contrast. Now there, and when we say compare and contrast, a lot of people always think that we're talking about opposites. We're talking about something big and little, or we're talking about light and dark, and they seem to forget that that's just the contrast portion of it. That's not the compare portion. When you're doing comparing, you're comparing like items, things that are the same. When you're doing contrast, you're comparing things that are opposite or different. Next technique would be a hierarchical. You can go a top, middle, and bottom, or bottom, middle, and top, whichever way that you prefer. And you can always do how one causes several of the pieces down below it and how that causes several of the other things down below it. Or you can do it based on increasing detail. For instance, if you were talking about something at your job and you have a mission statement, which would be something really, really general versus how you're going to carry out that mission statement, which would be something that's very specific. So you can go from general to specific. Well, the next question. Next question is, if you could design any new ride or attraction for Walt Disney World, what would it be? If you can design any new ride or attraction for Walt Disney World, what would it be? And I see Amar with his big smile on his face. Come on, Amar. Let's hear what you have to say, bud. Use any one of these techniques.
All right. So, good evening, fellow Toastmasters. If you've ever been to a theme park, you will notice that they're always fast rides, spinning rides, and rides that defy gravity. And I would love a ride that's just slow, meanders along, and defies gravity. So something that would, not like a lazy river where you have to get wet, which is always seems to be the go-to, but something that would you just could sit along, not like an escalator, not like a elevator, but something that would be outside and just moved you along. It's kind of like the airport. I think that would be really cool. If you had like the airport where you just kind of just went along and you had things to look at, like a carpet bag, like a carpet, and maybe go up and down a little bit, that'd be kind of interesting. And so if I was to compare to something to the current, I would try to find something different. Thank you.
Awesome, Amar. He's talked about a carpet and moving along and going up and down. And the only thing I thought in my head was a donkey ride. All right, the next set of structures that I want to use are building requisite knowledges or prerequisite knowledges. You have to know A before you know B. Kind of like things that you do when you go through school. There's always plan A, plan B, plan C. You can use an expanding radius where you start with a little small piece. Maybe you start with something that happens in this town, and then it branches out to the city, and then it branches out to the state and the country, and all of a sudden it becomes worldwide. Or you can even talk about something that has a priority, whether it's critical, important, or optional, and do a compare and contrast on those different things. So my last question is going to be, oh man, me and my glasses, I keep forgetting these things. I swear I need to get one of each lens on these glasses. What is the most exciting event you have ever witnessed? What is the most exciting event you have ever witnessed? I can't see everybody, so if you're out there, go ahead and shout out your answer. Say your name. All right, Farouz, thank you for volunteering.
No. I'm going to try this.
Awesome.
I don't know if I relate with your question and what
First
I'm
thing
gonna ask.
first thing that comes to your mind.
Alrighty. I came to America in 1976, and I arrived in California, Fresno, California. I noticed Union 76 gas stations. They have big, huge ball that it says 76. And that happened to be the same year I came. And every corner, everywhere, they were everywhere. And I was thinking, oh my God, this country, people are so wasteful. Every year they have to change this 76 to 77 to 78. And that's something I could not understand. And then I learned it's a gas station. That's the name of it's going to stay and remains forever. So thank you for letting me share.
Awesome. Thank you, Farouz. Excellent job. Excellent. All right. I'm going to open it up to question and answers. I'm not going to go over the judges' forms. So let me stop sharing here. Since we're not doing contests, there's no need to go over the judging forms. So questions? Anybody? We covered a lot. I did it in less than 40 minutes. I'm surprised.
Pretty amazing. I think everyone ought to get a chance to at least try one of those formats. You know, I think it's very interesting to see how would you answer differently in a different format, right? And so, Jim, do you have any more table topics that you could use? And I know
we got a whole box of table topics here.
then we ought to at least have everybody get a chance to practice, I would think.
Oh, so who has not gone? Lena has not said anything. Lalitha has not said anything.
May hasn't had a chance also.
All right, so let me get my reading glasses.
Jim, Vivian, Jim.
Yes, Vivian.
Just quickly, the slide before this, I forgot the last one. Can you flash it quickly?
I will drop a copy of the slides into the chat room and you can download them. Is that good enough? Or you just
I was thinking I might want to use the last one, just the last one. I forgot what it was. The priority. Okay, got it. Thank you.
All good?
Thank you very much. Yes.
You're
Thank you.
welcome. Okay, Lena.
Yes.
What moment of glory have you watched another person celebrate that you too would love to experience in your lifetime?
That's a hard question. I think I've celebrated everything almost I want to do. I have to think deep on this one. So I need to use one of these things.
Yes, ma'am. Anyone?
God, I'm stumped.
First thing that comes to your mind.
Oh, yes. I have a friend who won a very high screenwriting award, an Emmy. And I really admire him for that. He's an amazing writer. And in fact, he's my mentor. I went with him and I held the Emmy. I took pictures with it and I have posted it. I'm not ashamed to say. The problem is that he was a lot better than I was because I was not a writer when I first started writing when he got this. So I had a lot of just funky lessons to learn before I got to, I think I am now, because I'm ready for that now. Although I'm not going for an Emmy, I'm actually going for an Oscar. So I'm actually going to outdo him. And that's going to be my problem solved. And the director I'm working with right now, he tells me that I will win one of those. He said, well, at least I promise you'll be nominated. So that's where I'm going.
Awesome.
Oh,
See, wasn't so hard, was it?
No, it's just hard to figure out. I think with a lot of practice, you can figure out where to go in those things. You just have to memorize them, I think.
First thing that comes to your mind.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about all the lessons and leads you gave us.
Yep.
Those I'd like to memorize.
Sure.
Yeah.
Lalitha, if you could open your own retail store, what type of merchandise would you sell? First thing that comes to your mind.
If I open a retail store, like I'm going to open a supermarket. Supermarket means like where you find all the needs of your daily lives, all the materials all the soap, brushes, toothpaste. Is in India, it's a big retail business, so that it can, with that, I can live my life without having to work anymore, so that I can invest into that. And I want to open one in India, so which is making me to think about it. I invest that, with that I can make money and live my life.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Wonderful answer. May,
Yes, Jim.
in your opinion, what is the best piece of music ever written?
The best piece of music ever written, I believe, was the Fifth of Beethoven. When you hear the notes, da 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 da, it's like, wow, an explosion. Don't you get that feeling when you hear it every time? For me, if a person's like, oh, I'm so tired, I want to go sleep. But when you hear that, da 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 da, I think it'll just wake up your brain. So that's the piece of music that I consider is the best music ever written. Back to you, Jim.
Awesome. Thank you, May. Vivian, you have your hand up again, or is that up from the last time?
It's up from last time, but you may call me if you wish.
Well, I'm going to go back to questions and answers. So do you have a question?
Oh yeah, I want to ask you, why do human beings want to impress? Why? Simple questions are asked in table topics, and they want to answer like the theory of evolution. I'm like, who cares? Why do people have to impress? Why can't we just be like 5-year-olds? You ask, they answer. Just speak to express instead of impress. But that's my mindset. You notice I don't say anything profound ever. So I want to ask you, why do they do that? They're trying so hard to prove that they're the brightest in the room. Duh.
The,
I have an
an-
answer for that. If you don't have, but you have an answer. I have an answer for that.
the answer is simple. 42.
Here we go.
Where does it fit?
It's the ultimate answer to every question. Don't you guys read the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy?
42, yeah.
Oh, I want to hear Lena's answer too.
Go ahead,
Well,
Lena.
It's actually true that most people, not all, but most people spend about between 80 and 90% of their energy and time bolstering their ego and defending their point of view. That's just like a fact. And if we don't do that, imagine the energy and time we would have to do other things. That's it. Insecurity, that's it.
Yeah, well, that's the reason I cook and eat and keep going.
Thank you, Jim and Lena. It's true. If people were less worried about what people think, they would have less wrinkles.
Yeah.
And that's why I look the way I do at 70. I always say, that's my story and I'm sticking to it. I don't care what you think. That's my story.
We'd be a lot happier too, I think. We would be, because I'm doing it too sometimes. We'd be a lot happier too if we didn't do that.
I
So,
just use the excuse, I'm an old fart, I don't care. Go do what you want. Who cares? Doesn't affect me.
Thank you. Love it.
So are there any more questions? Anything else that we would like to cover tonight?
I have a question, Jim.
Yes, ma'am.
So in table topics, I seem to have a little trouble with organization. If I'm supposed to give like examples of what I'm trying to say.
Sure.
So how do you quickly fit in your examples or think of the examples to
Well,
fit in?
the number one thing for you to do is to breathe. You're thinking too hard. Don't deal with thinking too hard. The first thing that pops into your mind, that's what you go with. And as you start talking about that one thing, everything else will fall into place. Make it simple.
Well, if I make it simple, it doesn't make sense. It'll be, I don't know. Things don't really like, huh? How does it fit?
They will if you talk about a single idea. If you turn around and you try to answer a question and you have 1,000 ideas in your head, you're confused. You're already confused. You're not going to be able to come up with an answer. You're going to stutter. You're going to close your eyes. You're going to breathe. Talk about the first thing that comes to your mind and talk about just that one thing and you'll be perfectly fine.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
You're
Great
welcome. So if there are no other questions, we have 12 minutes that I can give back to you. You can have your 12 minutes of your life back and go enjoy a meal somewhere. Let me turn it back over to our presiding officer, Hal.
Thank you, everybody. Let's give him a hand. Well done. Well done. I think table topics is a thing that like Jim was saying at the very beginning, causes panic. It creates that deer in the headlights kind of experience, especially if you're relatively new to it. And the easiest way to get over that is just to do it as much as you possibly can. If you pull out that list of all those different ways, while you're at home, just pick some question and say, how would I answer it 3 different ways here? How would I tell it chronologically, given a past, present, future? How might I tell it if I was talking geographically? So I had that experience while I was in different countries or whatever. How might I tell it if I'm doing Jim's compare and contrast or whatever? And just, set a timer and do a minute and see what you come up with. You'll be surprised. If you take off the pressure and you don't have an audience, suddenly you'll be able to create. And then once you get that experience, then come back with an audience and you'll be able to do it. So I thought today's presentation, today's mentoring was really good. What do you guys think?
Awesome. Absolutely awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was very clear, very easy to read. I'm going to be doing an evaluation on it, but it was, I'm so glad that we did this, and I hope it helped you guys. So anybody else, any other thoughts or comments before we close out?
I would like to hear from Amar. I'd like to know where he's from, and what brought him here to the meeting today, and whether or not I'm actually pronouncing his name correctly.
Yes, you are. And I'm grateful to be here today. This is my second time actually. Last time I was here for the mentorship session you had.
Uh-huh.
And I love my second love, or my second focus, I guess, would be in table topics after mentorship. So when I saw the email come across, I was definitely here. A little late, unfortunately, but here.
That's totally fine. And Amar, you're invited to join us, of course. It's okay to be in more than one Toastmaster club. Jim's in an ungodly amount. I don't know if anybody really knows how many.
I'm only in 14.
14. So we'd love to have you join us, but we do the mentor sessions, twice a month, and we do regular Toastmasters in the Tuesday in between that. First and third Tuesday is regular Toastmasters. So good. Glad you were here.
Thank you.
Cool. Anybody else? Anything else? Excellent.
Yes.
So, go ahead.
Hal?
Yeah.
Hal? Might people not want to think instead that table topics is what we do every day? every day. We talk to people every day. I have requested people to just change it from table topics to a day in my life. And that makes them more relaxed. We talk to people all the time. Really, we do. The grocery, whatever, the corner, the food delivery, we're just talking all the time. Just think, are you doing table topics? What, how many hours a day? 16 hours a day at least? The answer is yes. Like this question I asked you, it's a conversation. So like Lena said, dump the insecurities. Just think, it's a day in your life. That's all. Mindset. Just an opinion again.
I'm with you. We should just go see our friends and do table topics.
Yes. It works if you have some vodka on the side. It gets really funny. And then like with Jim, I challenged, make it spin the bottle. Then it gets really fun.
Excellent.
How great we're going to be at table topics if we keep doing this every day. Can you imagine?
You do it every day.
Yes.
Yes, but do it consciously so we don't have that thing, you know, like what you're saying, you practice at home and every time at Toastmasters, Success Masters for us, you just jump in and you do it. No matter what you go, like, I have no clue what I'm going to say, but I'll do it anyway. That's cool. That's really cool, I think.
Sometimes we should do your acceptance speech, Lena. So, anything else before we close out? Yes.
Yes. Jim, when you did the presentation, you said at the end of the session, you're going to have the list. So
okay.
as
Yeah,
homework,
the
you
slides,
can-
yes. Let me do that. Let me put that into.
Just a couple of them. I didn't get the rest.
It's okay.
took a
I'll
note.
put it in. Thank you for reminding me.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Table topics.
While he's doing that, I'm going to stay around afterwards just for a few minutes. So Vivian, if you want to talk at that point, or if anybody else needs anything, just hang out and let either Jim or I know.
Hal, did you see my chat? Can
I did.
get?
I did.
Okay, you're gonna send it to me.
Okay, it's in the chat room. So if you want to download it, you can.
Okay. They say it says training, right?
Yes, training
Okay.
tabletop techniques.
Great. I got it. Thank you.
May, I'm going to have to, the thing that you're asking for, I've got written down, so I'm going to have to either take a picture of it to send you, but just stay around and we'll talk in just a minute. So,
Well, my phone cannot get your picture.
okay, super.
Like
Just
last time.
just hang out.
No. Okay.
We'll close the meeting out and then we'll talk about that. Anybody else, anything else before we close?
Just a big thank you to Jim and everybody for hosting, and Jim so much for all the information. That was priceless.
You're welcome.
Let's give them
I
a big
know.
hand.
That's true.
So Lena
Yay.
and Amar, I invite both of you to join the club if you're interested.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. I'd love to. I see how much time I have. I have to brush off a few things, but yeah.
Can I get your email address, Lena? I don't have the email
Yes.
address.
Yeah. It's I put it in the chat. There we go.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm going to stop recording now.